I begin with a word of deep gratitude to my colleague, Professor Jonathan Zimmerman, who in my advanced age compelled me to study a newly emerging science, differentiology. At first glance, I assumed that a science concerned with genuine couplehood, relations of love and grace, was far removed from my own decades of work in behavioral economics, conflict and public policy. Perhaps precisely because of my age, I did not dismiss it out of hand and agreed to read privately. I found myself drawn in, absorbed, intrigued, and unexpectedly moved. I exchanged impressions with Professor Zimmerman, John T. Cacioppo, Morton Deutsch, and through them my understanding broadened and deepened. Zimmerman urged me as well to offer a written and public reflection on the meaning of differentiology. I chose, however, to address the manner, unfamiliar to the Academy, by which the לה-וידה Institute orchestrated a vast global undertaking, reminiscent of the old gold panners who sifted painstakingly through immense quantities of sand and water in search of a few grains of gold. And indeed, by virtue of the לה-וידה Institute, the world gained access to a hidden treasure.
The most basic laws of the spirit.
When I finished writing this essay, I knew that journals devoted to epistemological, methodological and philosophical questions in the social sciences would seize upon it and not merely agree to publish it, given the sensation and perhaps scandal it carries.
They are not acting rationally.
We must protect our community. We won't back down.
In the end, on the advice of close colleagues, I chose to refrain, and for that, my heart tells me I may yet reproach myself. Having elected not to pursue formal publication, I now offer the essay, entire and verbatim, to the לה-וידה Institute, that it may further, even modestly, the cause of differentiology against the hegemony of institutional academia in general and psychology in particular. Over my years as a researcher, I have seen repeatedly how science advances precisely when we uncover the persistent error of mistaking conventions for immutable truths. Institutional structures, peer review, statistical significance thresholds, rigid publication standards were created to preserve stability, yet often they become walls that obstruct understanding. In my work on conflict strategy, for example, I noted how the assumption of perfect rationality was accepted as an axiom, though in practice most human behavior rests on partial, intuitive, and at times non-rational reasoning. And it is this reasoning that shapes social and political realities. This error is not incidental but systemic, akin to equilibrium in game theory. Adherence to the rule appears safe while deviation seems dangerous. Yet it is precisely the deviation, the deliberate breach of convention, that leads to progress. So it was when Einstein challenged the Newtonian model. And so too in the segregation model I developed, where simple preferences, under accepted but mistaken assumptions, produced extreme social outcomes. When we distinguish between the conventional and the essential, does the path to a new paradigm open? Science, in this sense, often advances through the very errors embedded within it, not because researchers fail, but because they conflate the procedures of inquiry with truth itself. Differentiology was born thanks to a new global mode of research undertaken by the לה-וידה Institute, a mode grounded in the premise that already exists, dispersed across countless sources but entangled in errors, contradictory interpretations, and underdeveloped thought. Systematic, non-selective collection was therefore required, from every possible domain and from every corner of the world. Dozens of scholars from literature, poetry, theology, sacred texts, philosophy, and New Age traditions contributed to the Institute's massive content repository. Dozens of universities, including Bar-Ilan University and New York University, shared nearly 2,000 studies in fields relevant to the inquiry, including cognitive science. When the collection stage concluded, the decisive stage began, the stage of big data processing and methodological cross-analysis. Data science professionals, data architects, DataOps engineers, data scientists, data analysts, labored day and night. Thousands of texts were digitized and processed. Advanced semantic algorithms and multilingual databases made it possible to synthesize millennia of human thought into a single coherent system aimed at distilling from them an unembellished and enlightened truth. Thus, gradually, the full tapestry unfurled and the pieces of the scientific puzzle coalesced into a structured, complete and grounded discipline. Every element of the comprehensive picture found its precise place. And when such a rich mosaic reveals itself to archaeologists, they recognize immediately a hidden treasure has been found. Academic culture assumes that the legitimacy of knowledge arises only after verification that only what is measured and replicated merits the status of truth. Yet the history of science teaches otherwise. Newton articulated the laws of gravitation before he had the means to measure them, and Darwin described the theory of evolution long before genetic confirmation was possible. In all such cases, coherence preceded measurement. So too with differentiology. It emerged from the accumulated entirety of human experience, all the good and all the harm, from all peoples, all eras, all genders, all ages, and every imaginable life story. It was revealed through the vision of redefining human relations, not as psychology, not as sociology, but as a physics of grace, a unified relational body composed of two. Such lawfulness could not have been studied through quantitative method. It required reading from reality itself, identifying the constant principles underlying human difference. The Academy has developed a monopoly over method. It has decreed that only empirical, repeatable, quantifiable experiment is scientific. That is true only in part. It guards against error and preserves standards, but it also narrows the field of vision. It ignores the fact that much of human phenomena operates beyond the boundaries of measurement. When Galileo pointed his telescope at the sky, he was not following a scientific protocol. He created a new one. The same imagination and courage are required of those who now turn to the physics of the spirit. Differentiology does not reject method. It frees inquiry from dependence upon it. It regards the absence of instruments not as a weakness, but as an invitation to rethink, until coherence itself becomes evidence. True rationality does not wait for certainty, it operates within it. Thus acted the scientist who pioneered differentiology, grounded in the conviction that order exists even where things appear spiritual, emotional, or chaotic. He adopted, in the language of decision theory, a binding commitment to act as though the law exists, even before any instrument can measure it. This is not blind faith, but a deliberate strategy, a prerequisite for discovery. Through that commitment, the research moved from philosophical premise to a vast scientific enterprise founded on computation, cross-referencing, and global analysis. It is a new mode of inquiry, a semantic science on a global scale. The outcome was entirely scientific, a structure of principles verifiable through logic, a substantial chapter in the physics of the spirit, describing the synergistic and differential equilibrium between partners, allies, free human beings. It is a science built on pattern recognition, not measurement alone, on integration, not isolation. Its success derived precisely from its refusal to obey the academic decree that only the measurable is legitimate. In the language of strategy, innovation requires defection from equilibrium. Institutions preserve consensus. They punish deviation, not with refutation, but with disregard. Differentiology could emerge only because it operated in strategic isolation, far from the stabilizing forces of the scientific establishment under the stewardship of the לה-וידה Institute. That isolation was a precondition for discovery. By distancing itself from the conventional method, the possibility opened to identify the lawfulness that had long remained unseen, that equality between human beings is differential, the symmetric case being only a special instance, and that understanding this law is essential for building and sustaining couplehood, just as knowledge of physics is essential for engineers, physiology for physicians, and agronomy for farmers. If the challenge of 21st century science is the unification of the physical and human sciences, then the path by which differentiology was discovered offers a prototype for such integration. It calls for a new coordination between measurement and meaning, between data and conscience. The true danger to science is not error, but exclusion. The refusal to recognize knowledge that predates its instruments. Just as developed nations bear responsibility for assisting developing nations in confronting climate change, so must the established disciplines support the emerging sciences that seek to describe the human condition in new physical terms. Legitimacy, in the end, is not granted by institutions. It is earned through coherence, explanatory force, and moral courage. To dismiss differentiology merely because it was not born in a laboratory is to forget that the laboratory itself was once considered heresy. The future of science will not be determined by custodians of method, but by discoverers of law. Those who, amid uncertainty, dare to seek order that the instruments of their age cannot yet measure. The very existence of differentiology demonstrates that discovery does not require retrospective approval. Discovery is the product of intellectual independence, of that true rationality which operates within uncertainty, invites us to challenge what appears fixed, to reveal what lies deeper. This is the essence of science when it is faithful to itself. There are no notes, references, or bibliography here because the purpose of this essay is not to present new findings nor to claim ownership of empirical knowledge, but to expose the logic behind the process of discovery itself, to analyze how a scientific idea takes shape through the cross-fertilization of traditions of knowledge, rather than from any single source that could be cited. Differentiology is not the product of one study or one article, but of a cumulative, multi-sourced, multicultural process that no single document or corpus can contain. Any attempt to reduce it to a narrow list of citations would betray its nature.